Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day everyone. Before we going further into the topic today, let me introduce myself first. My name is Mellyna Putri Diniar, student number 33, and I'd like to present the topic which is called language and youth as well as youth language and style. For a slight introductions, have you ever heard or even used the words heat, slay, lit, glow up, glow down, or even salty? If you are part of Generation Z, all of those slang utterances will sound so familiar to you and you will have no trouble defining them. Initially, let us take a look at this clip to give a brief insight related to this topic.
Let's dip at 8.
Iconic. Girl, you're straight poppin'.
Oh, she ratchet.
Need a translator to understand your teenager? We found some.
Salty is a word that you describe when someone's not in a good mood.
Down in the DM means like when deciding when you're gonna hook up.
Woke means to be alert and aware of what's happening in today's world.
Teen speak is really nothing new. Every generation has had its own language.
I'm gonna hurt you really bad. Yas, queen, do you? Well, you know I'm gonna kill you, right? Yeah, I love it. You woke up today and chose violence. Savage. What is wrong with this generation? Lol, like where's the lie? I'm literally dying right now. I need to put this on my story.
Oh my god, you guys. This is so crazy. Udah direkam. Oke. Selamat siang pemirsa, kembali lagi bersama I Don't Care News. Di sini kami melaporkan adanya kerusuhan yang Are you okay? Makanya jangan lari-lari. Telah terjadi demo antara mahasiswa dan masyarakat yang mengakibatkan bau keringet gak sih? Hal ini bisa terjadi karena ada Nggak hafal skrip. Panas banget gak sih? Sampai kena gue follow TikTok lo. Sampai saat ini situasi masih belum bisa dikontrol. Mas, jangan deket-deket dong, bau banget. Duh, mana haus banget lagi. Dek, minta minumnya dong. Oke, buat saya ya. Sunscreen gue dong. Oh my god. Ayo pulang aja lah. Hai guys, ini hari pertama kuliah ya. Oh iya, saya sambil dengerin musik gak apa-apa kan? Oke. Anyway, hai. Perkenalkan nama saya Supratno, tapi jangan pernah panggil bapak karena nanti kelihatan tua. Panggil saya Kak Kevin aja atau Papski, oke? Kamu tahu kan kalau di kelas saya nggak boleh telat dari 20 menit. Tapi kamu bawain kopi buat saya? Duduk. Nah, dari sini kita bisa tahu, HP siapa yang jatuh? HP kamu? Itu iPhone 12 yang terbaru, warna kuning. Oh my god, tes selfie nggak sih? Tes selfie dong, sini. Ada pertanyaan? Iya, kamu yang di belakang. Oh, mau ke toilet. Oke, yang lain? Nanti balik dari toilet nitip ya. Nitip es kopi. Anyway, sebelum kita lanjut ke bab selanjutnya, ada yang mau fotoin saya nggak? Iya, outfit saya lagi bagus hari ini. Yes, I know right, period. Posting Instagram. Nanti saya kasih nilai tambahan deh. Sebenarnya masih ada 30 menit sih, cuma udah bosen nggak sih? Ya, capek. Iya, capek nggak sih? Kayak, Oke, kita akhiri aja kali ya. Oke, terima kasih banyak teman-teman. Selamat siang dan bye.
Okay, those clips are quite interesting, aren't they? So that's how youth are communicating nowadays, particularly in using the language. Now let us jump to the slides of topic outline related to the content of this topic of youth language and style. There are definitions, criteria, and then the factors. Okay, the first one we got definitions. Now let me briefly define each keyword of this topic. Initially, there is language, which is a sound, word, and grammar-based communications mechanism or a communication system used by people who live in a specific country. A second keyword is youth, which refers to the time of your life when you were young or at the state of being young. And then the last is style, which means a way of doing something, especially one that is typical of a person, group of people, place, or period. Based on all of this, so what is youth language and style? The topic of youth language and style might quite self-explanatory, since it can be interpreted as referring to the language used by young people, as well as their style of using a language at the most basic level of understanding. Next slide, we got this criteria of youth language. A linguist named Anna Brita Sternstorm, whose research focuses on teenage language, claims that characteristics of teen talks include irregular and erratic turn-taking, excessive use of slangs, verbal dwelling, or trying to outdo each other, word shortening, and then name calling. Okay, now we move to the next slide and let me define each criteria of youth language and style. First, we got irregular turn taking. It is called irregular turn taking when during a conversation there is a person who cannot patiently wait to take turn to talk, because authentically there are two groups of people in an irregular turn-taking conversation. The first are those who are often patiently waiting for another person to finish his or her words. Thereupon, the people who do not have the patience to wait for another person to finish their word is the second form. It is quite apparent that adolescents' language is often erratic dialogue because they do not courteously take turns. Instead, they often interrupt each other to share their thoughts, emotion, as well as opinions. It has resulted in irregular turn-taking, even though, of course, not all teenagers do that. Okay, so this is the example of irregular turn-taking happens in a conversation. The A, okay, tell me what you want. Before A student has finished his talk, B is suddenly talk even before A hasn't even finished his saying. Like, okay, tell me what you. I want you to not put your hands on my business. So, the example above shows an irregularity or disturbance in turn taking, because the speaker B starts to speak before the speaker A finishes his or her utterance. The speaker B starts to speak in the middle of speaker A's utterance. For these reasons, speaker B is categorized as a disturber. Thus, irregular turn-taking happens in these conversations, particularly to show his or her disagreement. Okay, moving to the next slide, we got slangs. So, what is it? Slang is a very informal language or specific words used by a particular group of people, especially youngsters out there. You'll usually hear slang spoken more often than you will see it put in writings, or even through emails or text. But in text, it is often happens, but not as regularly happens as it is used in speaking form. Okay, so this is the example of the slang words used by teenager nowadays. Like the first example, for real though, I don't know whether I could hold on till the end of this week. Like, this week is hell af, no cap. In this sentence, we have hell af means extremely stressful, draining energy as well as demanding. Then there is also slang terms no cap, which means they are not lying while saying this sentence. And then the next example, how does it feel to be the Heather? I don't know that, ask Lucas. In this sentence, slang terms occurs as the term Heather. It refers to the popular, gorgeous, and desirable person that everyone is in love with and wants to be with. Okay, and then the next example we have also, damn, so salty, who hurt you today? Okay, so if someone use this term, which is salty, it means that someone seems irritated or mad and even angry, so that they are described as being salty. And then the following example, we also have, I woke up and chose violence. Okay, the phrase of I woke up and chose violence is used often in Twitter. It typically refers to someone who has done something savage. Like, nowadays, people are so proud when they are labeled as being savage. They might feel inner satisfaction of being seen as cool, tough, or even hardcore and awesome people. It's just like that. And then the last example is term kickback, you all. It slaps. The term it slaps in this phrase has the meaning that this particular album called Kickback is extremely excellent and amazing, and it deserves to be streamed by millions of people, period. Next slides. This slide is containing the popular list of Gen Z slang terms with its definition, okay? Let me just explain this one by one. Okay, the term saying is a force. The definition of it is unnecessarily excessive effort. Bang theories, which means to fight someone as in a physical altercation. And then also we got this beat your face or kick your face, It means apply makeup. And pops, a modern enjoyable songs is called pop. So when I got this really interesting song, and then I quote the tweet and say, "Whoa, it is a pop." It means that it is a modern enjoyable song. Bota is I'm about to. And we also got this bread, which means future money. And we also have catch a fade or catch these hands, which means to get punched and or knocked out. And we also have this clap back. It means respond to an insult with an equal or greater insult. Oh, this is interesting. And we also have clapped, a crazy person, someone who was punched. Okay. Next, we also got cracky, and it has the meaning of someone who smokes. And then we also got the slang terms crossfade, which is totally inebriated. There are also tied, which means extremely mad, trying to, tweaking, overreacting, or ecstatic. And then valid, it means having a high quality. And then we love that. It is refers to an ironic or even sarcastic response to something bad. And we got this popular term slangs on Twitter, which is wig snatch. It means a term for an impressive or unimpressive act or appearance. Next, we also got with you, which means with you. And then Yahoo, like, are you aware? Yeah, you heard. Are you aware? Then you got jokes or big jokes. It means a sarcastic, an acknowledgement of an unappreciated jokes or insult. And then we got ear is an affirmative call for attention. And then we also have this next slide. These Indonesian slang terms, because in Indonesia we also have slang terms, or in native language it refers to bahasa gaul, where bahasa means language and gaul means social, cool, or even trendy. And here are some examples of Indonesian slangs. The first one, we got mager, which means lazy to move. Like if I don't want to hang out with a particular friend, I can simply say to them that, oh my god, I'm sorry, aduh maaf ya, aku mager banget, just like that. And we also got this sotoy. Sotoy is referring to a particular person who acts as if he's the know-it-all. I know it's quite annoying, yeah. And then we also got this weka weka weka. Yes, the weka 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 is an Indonesian way to say lol. And nowadays, even in Gen Z slang term, which so famously popular in the internet, they also use SK to show that they are laughing while they are tweeting or just simply replying to the message. Like, it's just the another version of weka weka weka, but it used so broadly, not only in Indonesia but also people in another country also use sk to show that they are laughing. And we also got this bacot, which is referring to people who talk too much. And then mantul, which is the abbreviation of mantap betul. It means something is awesome or extremely cool. Then we also have kui, as in cobain kui, as it should be in Indonesia should be yuk, like yuk, cobain yuk, but it got flipped as cobain kui, which means like, let's go try this one, and come on, let's try this, just let's go kui, and like that. And then we also got gaptek for referring to the people who technology illiterate. And then we also got pap. It is a post of picture that you may send to a particular person. And then we also have spill, or spilling the tea. That means to share news, gossip, or latest information to someone. And then we also got this term that is quite popular also in Twitter, especially SJW in Indonesia, or SJW, or social justice warrior, which extremely popular, right? Of course, on every social media, but particularly on Twitter. It refers to a group of people who does not necessarily strongly believe all they say, that they even care about the particular groups they are fighting on behalf of. Thus, this term is quite derogatory to insult people who straightly straight about everything and often takes jokes so seriously. Okay, in the next slides we got this verbal dwelling. It is happening when two adolescents have a verbal battle and even ended up in a conflict or quarrel, as in this conversation below between two teenagers, to provide an obvious illustrations of verbal dwelling. Okay, it goes as this, like, damn, you ugly. What do you mean? Like, you ugly. Where? Your face. Well, thanks, sweetie. At least I can cover that with makeup, but I feel bad for yours. What? Ugly face can be covered by makeup, but ugly personality can be though. Yes, that's it. The example of verbal dwelling between these two teenagers. And then the next slide we also have the following criteria, which is word shortening. In this word shortening, it is the action or process of making word becoming short, specifically the dropping of the latter part of a word so as to produce a new and shorter word of the same meaning. The example of word shortening occurs when teens refer to their significant others as bae. They are referring to them before anyone else rather than simply naming them babe or baby. It has resulted bae can be described as a shortened version of babe or baby. Like this list below also example of word shortening. We got this abdominal muscle, shortened as abs. Okay, so teenage girl might go crazy about it. And we got also fabulous. We also shorten it as fab. And then favorite as fave, comfortable shortened as comfy. And then underwear shortened as undies, overdose, OG, boyfriend, boyfie or BF, and then girlfriend as GF. Okay, next we have this criteria also called name calling. It is a type of verbal insult in which offending or demeaning. In name calling, labels are aimed at a person or a group of people, just as this tweet from @local double underscore celeb, which is saying Gen Z is being raised by Gen X, while millennials were raised by boomers, and it shows. Okay, says this particular example on Twitter when Gen Zs are trying to insult millennials for having teenager face, that they think that it's just so weird and as if they're the most superior generation. Okay, and in this tweet also, Gen Zs are insulting boomers as well as the word boomer in an informal term used so famously by Generation Z to insult this particular generation, referring to people born during post-World War II, just as these memes that are recently so famous, especially on Twitter. Okay, next slide we have these factors, right? Okay. The factors of youth, language, and styles. Since it is about the youth, language, the main factor which influencing the youth, language, and style is certainly the age. Thus, the evolution is clear. The older individual, the more linguistically conservative they are and the more sensitive to the norm. The younger they are, the more receptive to innovation. That's why our youth, language, and style is so informal, casual, and it tends to, it is not strict at all. Like, it is so casual. Additionally, according to the numerous journal and articles related to this topic as well, the factors that influence youth, language, and style are quite clear. Like, okay, social media, press, music, or to be specific, rap music, series, film, and interaction or communication in social environment. In addition to this matter, Korn also say that there is more to it than that, as it seems that linguistic flexibility is partially a factor of age, exposure to various inputs, social factors, but also personal factors have influenced the use of language itself. Finally, next slide. Okay, in conclusion, this particular topic, which is called language and youth as well as youth, language, and style, is an apparent topic to discuss the language use and style by the group of youth. Penelope Eckert has also argued Even if several utterances of youth language and style are so illogically unknown that such term can even emerge in the first place, but not all teenagers are the same and can be easily stereotyped, which is why this area of study is providing such interesting findings worth investigating to comprehend youth language and style and its form based on the social linguistic study. And here are the references of those contents related to this topic. If you want to further study related to youth language and style, you may go dive into these links I provide. And thank you so much for your attentive attention. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a good day.